Hello friends, so let's talk tracking our expenses. Now, this is not going to be people's favorite topic. It's not my favorite topic. In fact, through all the books I read and all the research, there were so many different ideas on how to handle your finances, but the thing that they all had in common, the one thing, besides don't spend beyond your means, right, is to track your expenses, track your money. I'm trying to think if there was one that didn't talk about that. And they all talk about it because it's true. And as I've studied finances and worked on our own personal finances and helped other people with theirs, that is probably the most powerful game changer as far as your money. So, and in the beginning, I started taking all these steps to improve our finances, but I didn't track. I didn't want to track. It seemed too hard. It seemed too tedious. I don't have time to do that. I skipped that. For several years, I skipped that. And finally, I realized I have to know where my money's going because you can't make changes until you have that awareness. And so I finally started doing it, and like I said, it was a game changer. That's when things really started to improve. That's when things really started to accelerate. Oh, I got an email. I'm going to turn my phone on silent. Sorry about that. So, there are lots of different ways to track. There's the good old-fashioned paper and pen, and we tried that. It didn't work for us just because we'd forget. And I wouldn't always have my paper with me. So then we tried saving receipts, but that was too time consuming because then you have this big group of receipts, and then at the end of the month you're trying to write it all down or figure it out, sort through it, and that didn't work for us. So for some people it does work. And so if that works for you, then do it. If paper and pen works for you, then do it. Find what works for you and do it. Stick with it. No need to change it up if it's working great already. So another way is through like a spreadsheet online. You can use your bank statements, and bank statements show you what you've spent, but I would encourage you to not just use that as your tracker, because I want you to be able to categorize all your expenses. I want you to be able to, copy and paste and move or highlight and scribble off, and I want you to be able to play with these. So your bank statement can help you make sure that you got everything, but I want you to be tracking in addition to what your bank does. And that way you can also, I found some side benefits of tracking is I found a few times where there was fraud in my account, and that showed up because I was tracking, and I caught it immediately and was able to get it resolved very quickly. So that was a side benefit of tracking our expenses, is that we found when things weren't right, and we found out very quickly. Another way to track is to use an online app or an app on your phone. I've tried using envelopes, and that's a good one. It starts with the Mvelopes. That's a good one. That uses that's a whole budgeting system, but it helps you track your money extremely effectively. You can use Mint. That one's free. Envelopes has different prices depending on what features you want. Mint, I know Mint.com is free. You can use Quicken, QuickBooks if you know how to use that. Another popular one is YNAB. It's called You Need a Budget. And that one is a great way to track. Again, it's budgeting as well as tracking your money. One that I'm trying out currently is called Tiller, Tiller, because I wanted one that only tracked. I didn't need one that helped me with budgeting. I didn't need one that helped me with anything else besides tracking, because the downfall of envelopes is it only tracks your expenses. On Tiller, I can track my expenses and my income, because sometimes my income's not regular and I want to track that too. Sometimes we'll sell something or we'll get a side job, or and I want to be able to track all that to see how much is coming in as well as going out. So an envelope doesn't allow you to track the income, it just tracks the outgo. But Tiller doesn't have any sort of budgeting aspect to it. I'll explain to you why we use Tiller, because we're doing a velocity banking to speed up several processes of paying off debt and building savings. I'm sorry, I had to sneeze. I apologize, but I hope I paused it in time. You might have got a really awesome face from me. Anyway, budgeting. We use Velocity Banking, therefore we don't use an app that helps us budget. And in a future video, I'll explain what that is and what that means. But what I encourage you to do, there's so many apps, computer programs. Just make an Excel spreadsheet if that's easiest for you. Write it down if that's easiest for you. Save your receipts. What we want to do is before we really dive into anything else with your finances, you need to know where your money's going. Because when you have that awareness, then you can make changes. You can't make changes if you're not even aware of the problem, right? We can't create a solution without, knowledge of the problem. You've got to track. It's gonna be eye-opening. It may be painful. It may be exciting. For example, when we look through our tracking, I realized that I have been so good at staying on our grocery budget, and I was so proud of myself. But a few other, budgets, we noticed that we continuously spent more than we had budgeted. So then we had to make a decision. Do we increase our budget in that area, or do we cut back spending in that area? So because we tracked, we were able to see those patterns, make those changes. Another thing that tracking will do for you is you'll be able to analyze if your spending is in alignment with your values. Because if we're just spending and we don't really pay attention or remember where it's going, and it's really easy to do, really easy to just spend. But if we track, we can look back and say, you know what, that was not in alignment with my goals. That was not in alignment with my values. I didn't need that. That spending was not something that's helping me progress towards what I want to progress towards. It also helps with family goals. I love tracking to be able to sit down with my kids. I have 4 kids, and be able to say, look, this is where our monies went. Are we happy with that? Do we like that? Are we okay with that? If yes, great. Good job. We've been spending according to what we feel we value. Oftentimes, there's some spending where we think, no, that's not in alignment with what we want. That's not getting us towards our goals. And then we can identify why that spending happened. Where we, and there's so much psychology behind money and spending money, but did we want to impress somebody? Did we feel sad? And that was a way we thought would help us feel better. Were we having a hard day? Anyway, we can go into the psychology of spending a little bit in another video, but because we're tracking, because our family was tracking, we could look back and say, do we like how we were spending? Do we like spending this much on eating out and then not being able to go on a vacation? Would we rather stop eating out and save up towards a vacation? Or do we enjoy the convenience of eating out? So it's not good or bad. There's no accusing. There's no accusing. There's no saying this was good and this was bad, but we can analyze it based on our values. Did this spending further my goal? Does it represent what I think is important? And I think that's the most important about tracking. And so it's going to let you be aware. It's going to create awareness, and it's also going to allow you to analyze. And when you have awareness and you're able to analyze data, you're able to find solutions and make changes. You can't make changes, again, without knowing the problem. Another thing that tracking, I want a side note. When we're doing our tracking, we'll talk in another video about sitting down and looking at the data. But this is not to accuse people. This is not to say, look how good I am with my money, but you spend it horribly, or especially if you're married, right? I'm talking to couples. When we sit down to analyze that data, we've got to look at it just as numbers, just as this is what happened. This is the situation. And remove the feelings, remove the accusing, because that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to figure out where our money goes. Once we track it, we analyze it, and we decide if it's where we wanted our money to go, then we can make changes and we can discuss and set goals together. So we're not doing this to accuse. We're not doing this to prove anything. We're just gaining awareness, and we are, that's simply it, is to gain awareness, to know exactly exactly where it's going, because you're trading your time for money most often. And what do we have that's more important than time? We can't create more time. We can't get time that's lost. We can't get that back. Where do you want your time to go? Most of us don't want to be trading so much time for money. For most of us, at least for me, my time is more important than money. I don't want to trade so much time for so much money, right? And so we've got to know where that money is going, and we've got to, so that we can protect it, we can help it grow, and we can gain time back, which is the most important thing. Also have the ability to serve others and to be able to build our own family kingdom, our ability to create beautiful lives for our families, and to be able to help those around us, and to be able to teach and to live to our true purpose. And if we start with tracking our money and knowing where it's going and figuring out if we're spending in alignment with our values, then we are going to be on a roll. That's our very first step, and it's a huge step, and it's, can I say, the most important step. So I encourage you right now, your action step is to contact me if you need any help or clarification or ideas on good apps that may be easy to use for tracking your expenses, tracking your money, income and outgo. My information will be below. And if you like what I'm teaching, consider giving, consider helping me be able to spread this knowledge to others, because I really just want to help others know what I know and learn what I learned. I learned it the hard way, and I'd love to give it to families and to moms to help their lives be better. So if you're in alignment with that, and you feel like you would love to give to help me be able to produce more content, then I'm always grateful for those who support good causes. Your other action step from this video is to start tracking. Even if you haven't found the perfect app or the perfect way, start trying. And if one way doesn't work, try another way. Don't give up. Keep trying, because you will find that way that works for you, and it's going to be huge. And if we work on one-on-one together, I'm going to ask you, how do you track your money? And you are going to tell me. So what we want ideally is 3 months tracked. 6 months is even better, but 3 months is usually catches some big expenses, kind of gives us a good picture of what a year spending might look, or a typical or average month might look like. So I'd encourage you to track for 3 months. Once you've tracked for 3 months, we're going to have some really good data to work with, to look at, to play around with, to make changes, to analyze, all that good stuff. So start today. It doesn't need to be the first of the month. Just start today and find a way that works for you. I'd love to hear in your comments if you have ways that work for you. If you are good at tracking your money already, let us know how you've been able to do that. What's your favorite ways to do that? Let me know if you have any questions. Please reach out. I'm here to help. That's why I'm here. I love to teach what I've learned, and I love to help other people. So if you have questions, please reach out. But start tracking. Go turn this video off and go decide how you're going to track, and start right now. Start today.